Hey everybody, so my topic for this week was Snapchat's initial public offering and basically the concept of what an initial public offering is. And I'm just gonna try and get right into it and not make this video 30 minutes long. Alright, so first slide, let's go. So first things first, these are our two main dudes. We got Evan Spiegler and Bobby Murphy, who are the two founders of Snapchat. They are currently, Evan is the CEO and Bobby Murphy is the CTO, which is Chief Technology Officer, which for a tech company is like second in command, obviously. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the history of the company. I think you all know what Snapchat is. I'm not going to go too far into what it is, but it's an app. You probably, if you don't have it on your phone now, you had it on your phone in high school because everyone did. It started as an app called Peekaboo with those two guys I just mentioned, plus one third guy who is no longer in the picture. But in 2011, it was officially launched as Snapchat. So Snapchat, as you have used, is an app where you send pictures to each other, they go away, they disappear after a second. And it was very innovative. You don't really think about it, but there wasn't a whole lot like that at the time. And they have done a pretty good job of updating it and staying relevant. They've got a lot of word of mouth and a lot of earned media just from being a cool app. Basically they had a couple steps to them that made them who they were. They started with the disappearing pictures, and then once that started to die down, they added the filters and the ad tie-ins. So it's you get that thing over your face and it's like a Doritos commercial and it's raining Doritos from the sky up here and stuff. It's cool. They also had that dancing hot dog that everybody loved. They added stories where you just, instead of sending your things directly to other people, you just post it up somewhere. And that was a big thing because every other social media app copied that immediately after that. And then they added the Discover page, which is a news section and a soft journalism. So that keeps a core follower user base that just go on every day and just check what's going on. Let's see. So in 2017, they were a hot ticket item. They were being called a unicorn company, which is when a tech company is worth over $1 billion. And this was hot because they were looking to go public. So they started off with something called an IPO, which is an initial public offering. That's when you have a certain amount of shares in your company. You're going to launch them at a set price, and you just have to do all the things you need to do to become a public company instead of a private company. So you can generate a lot of money, but you gotta follow the rules if you're going to be a public company. You're not just a private investor. You need to disclose a lot of financial information. There's regulations put in place by the government so that these businesses don't just run rampant. When you're talking about numbers like $24 billion, which is what Snapchat was valued at when they were going public, you can't be playing with people's money if you're going to involve them in this. So you got to disclose all your financial information, release any statements that would, make any difference to people. You got to be open with people if they're going to be giving you money, because as publicly owned companies, these investors own the company as well, and they deserve this information. Okay, so I'm just going to go down the list of stakeholders and, talk about each one first, and then I'll just name them all first, and then I'll go back and talk about their place on the next slide. So for now, there are 26 different banks that were involved with this. There was the Security and Exchange Commission. There's the CEO of the company, obviously, is involved with this. There's potential investors, economists and tech buyers, and early adapters. So the 26 banks, they were the ones who do something called underwriting. Sorry about the lighting in here. Underwriting is when the banks agree to help shoulder some of the financial risk involved in going public. So they take some of the risk, but in exchange, they can get stocks out earlier to their investors. economists and tech buyers, in this process of going public and being, onto the market, like, they had a lot of buzz. They were the biggest IPO of 2017. So, obviously they're going to generate some buzz doing this. They're going to earn a lot of media. So they need to make sure that any journalists or like naysayers don't have any negative things to say, or at least they have a statement prepared in advance for any, negative things to say. So they covered that later on. And then the early adapters, these are the people that, are gung-ho on board for tech before it's done, so to say. Early adapters are the people you need in a tech company. They're so important to gain the revenue to make what your product could be possible. As of right now, the product you have is a product, but it mostly represents where it could be. And, this could be great, but right now you need money. So early adapter is very important. Okay, so let's go over the IPO process real quick. IPO, once again, just for sake of understanding, is initial public offering. This is the first batch of stocks when a company goes public and joins the stock market. It is a set number of shares. In this case, it was 200 shares at $17 per share. But, before you even get to that number, you gotta first get the bank underwriters to help you with the financial burden if it goes south. It's not always necessary. The textbook said that when Spotify went public, they did not use underwriters. They were so sure they had a hit on their hands that they didn't even bother. They just, went for it. Spotify was worth about $2 billion. Snapchat, when it went public, was worth $24 billion. So I can understand why they went with this. All right, so now we're on to step 2. That's when the Security and Exchange Commission makes you fill out a form before you even can start the IPO process. You have to disclose all of your financial information in this form. It's a large document. It's any money-related things that investors would want to know. They call it a prospectus, and Snapchat's ended up being 178 pages of information before they could even start this. So they send out the form. They went above and beyond, I think. I don't think it needs to be anywhere near 178 pages, but they disclosed everything. They were already making about $405 million a year before they went. All of their financial information from 2011 to 2017 at the time of the initial public offering was in this packet. It was a whole big thing. And it also, when you release something like that, it gets news attention. So you really want to come correctly if you're going to make as much money as you possibly can for your company. The next step, after they turned in the form, they immediately started up a roadshow. They went to 7 different cities and they just tried to educate investors, because although Snapchat was already a very popular app among young people, millennials, Gen Z, before they were Gen Z probably had this too. But the people that are investing in stocks are usually a bit older than that, are not as in touch with what's going on, and they just want to explain what their app is, what they've been doing, and also show how they make money, how they can make money, how they plan to grow, why it's innovative, why it's also accessible. It's all kinds of things that just make you interested in the product and feel like it's very possible and you're going to make money if you invest in it. After the roadshow, while the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, is looking over the paperwork for the S1 form. My dog is sneezing in the background. Sorry about that. Bless you. While the Security and Exchange Commission looks over the forms, they require you to just chill for a second. You're not allowed to throw new stuff into the pot. So you really can't disclose new stuff after the stuff you just disclosed, because it should be in the report. They need some time, not only to look over it and make sure everything's okay, but also let people process this big decision, because there's a lot of money to be made here, but they just want everyone to be educated, and that's why it's a regulated thing, you know? So then after that, they set a price for what the stock would be worth. I said it before, but it was $17 for a share. It was $17 for a share, and they were offering 200 shares. Yeah. So then, yeah, they just, once they pick a date, they offer the stock and see how it goes. So the day of the IPO goes up on the stock market. They set the stocks at $17 a share. By the end of the day, the stocks were at $24 a share. So that doesn't sound like a huge increase when you say it like that, but the sale of 200 shares gained Snapchat $3.8 billion. So with that $3.8 billion, Snapchat was now worth over $30 billion as a full corporation. And that's a huge success, I would say. So, you know, in financial matters like this, like, the money talks, and that was a very large increase. So Snapchat's still going decently strong. It's not like the newest tech app on the block. Like, there's bigger ones, like TikTok is obviously like the one that everyone's focused on right now. But they're still going. As of right now, their stock prices before this virus and everything, because that's obviously affecting the stock market, but before that they were at $16 a share. So they went down from the 24 from the end of the opening day, but it's interesting that it's pretty close to the $17 from the beginning of their initial public offering. So they're right around where they want to be. You know, obviously every business wants to make as much money as they possibly can, but they've kind of like fallen into a nice niche where, like, they're not the most popular app right now, but they're pretty solid. And I know a lot of people that every single day look at like the news stories that are on Snapchat, or like Snapchat just like their close friends or something. You know, it's kind of a big thing. I know even if I'm going to take a picture of like someone's notes in the homework or something, I don't use my regular camera on my phone because it takes longer than just whipping out Snapchat, taking a picture, and then saving it, you know? So it's stuff like that. Like, they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to stay pretty strong. They have lost a bit of people because, you know, the problem with introducing cool features is like they added stories to their app, and then everyone else was like, Instagram did it after them, Facebook did it after them. So now it's like people just use that, and it takes away from Snapchat, even though Snapchat did it first. But yeah, so that's all I have to say about that. Any questions? Yeah, put them in the chat, and I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching.